Hello and welcome to the news flash from the only democracy in the Middle East. This is an emergency broadcast. Israel is in the midst of an attempted regime change. The government is advancing a regime-type change, switching Israel from a democracy to becoming a dictatorship. The people must understand and realize this. The government is doing everything it can to hide this from the public. They are fast-tracking everything, working as quickly as possible. The media is not telling the public in a clear, understandable way that we are in a state of emergency or on the verge of a regime change. If those who are already awake and aware of the situation won't act now, immediately and decisively, it could be too late. The moment is now. Now is the time to wake up as many people as we can around us and make them aware of the reality. We keep hearing about the reform Justice Minister Yariv Levin is pursuing. That so-called reform is in fact a regime-type change. Only now the government realized that it will take a lot longer than they anticipated, on account of this being a governmental legislative proposal. And the Justice Department informed them that this will take some time to prepare. To circumvent this issue, they now want to pass this legislation faster, with no public discussion, in a power grab, as a private legislation proposal from MK Simcha Rotman, who is an ultra-extremist himself. So they are attempting to pass this legislation using lies, while deceiving and defrauding the public. They keep saying the public voted and has spoken. No, the public did not know that this was on the ballot. No one told the public that the election was about choosing between democracy and dictatorship. So using lies and deception, they are attempting this power grab, working as quickly as humanly possible. We must understand this. And we must use the lessons learned in Hungary and in other nations who have lost their democracy, and figure out what we need to do and what we still can do. First and foremost, this means uniting forces in a way that has never been seen before in Israel. It will require a widespread and massive civil resistance across all party affiliations, across all sectors, groups, socioeconomic levels, combining forces from the opposition with civilians and the public. A broad combining of all forces, of all those who understand what is happening right now and who oppose it. Don't fall for the false branding. Among those who oppose this regime change are plenty of politically right-wing citizens. There are plenty of religious citizens and traditional citizens who oppose the idea of Israel becoming a dictatorship. The vast majority of the Israeli public supports democracy. Even ultra-conservative jurists who have heavy ideological criticism towards judicial activism and Aaron Barak are warning that this is disastrous. They are calling Yariv Levin's reform a plan to destroy the justice system, not a plan to fix it. They are selling us this plan as if it were here to fix things and make things better, as if it were being done to strengthen democracy. That is all bullshit. It's all lies. Their work plan is so deceptive. They are using lies, working as quickly as possible before the public has a chance to wake up and even understand what they are doing here. Before the media is finally forced to tell the public what is really going on. All this is a clear indication that they are not trying to fix anything. This tells us they have a dark purpose. Their only goal here with this reform is to solidify the positions of the politicians in power and grant themselves unlimited power. They want to crush the judicial branch and the justice system so that they will be able to do whatever they want. What this means for every single citizen in this country is that we will become vulnerable to the whims and decisions of the government, which could go in any direction. This means that there will be no one to protect us. For instance, what we take for granted, our right to ownership. We can own our home, our business, our property. The government would be able to show up and seize all our assets. It won't make any difference what excuse or justification they make up. The government would be able to decide the new tax rate is 80%. They could decide to take away land from farmers and factories. The government would be able to do anything they feel like. And we would have absolutely no protection. That's only one example. The right to protest. We are already now seeing that the Justice Department and the National Security Ministry, Internal Security, the police force, are forming a plan to limit protests, imposing large fines, ludicrous restrictions, can't make noise here, and declaring the protest to be illegal because someone blinked twice with their left eye. Preposterous rules that they are advancing. You'll forgive me if I don't buy their denial. Ben-Gvir's denial, I think, is mostly due to the fact that the public found out about things he hasn't set the groundwork for just yet. So we can see that on their docket are laws that severely limit protests. Friends, if it looks like a dictatorship, and it sounds like a dictatorship, and it walks like a dictatorship, with all the laws and all the restrictions and the unlimited power they want to grant themselves, then it is a dictatorship. This is what they are planning. Only a united front of all members of the public who oppose these moves in a historic step can prevent this regime change from happening. We've already seen more and more citizens, officials, and gatekeepers who have courageously jumped on the field. We saw this week that the Supreme Court justices did not succumb to the threats or intimidation made by politicians. They were fearless and impartial and made their rulings in accordance with the law. We heard all the political commentators say that this is a just ruling, substantiated and based on all precedents. The judges are acting out of loyalty to the law only. They are not intimidated by threats. The fact that they acted bravely at this particular moment in time, this should be a trivial thing that should not require courage, but at this point in time it does. And the fact that they acted with bravery and courage must make us stand up and support them. The general counsel to the government stood up and spoke about this plan. Her deputy explained in no uncertain terms that with this plan, the government would be the law. President of the Supreme Court, Chayut, explained that this would be a major blow to the democratic identity of Israel. We see in the U.S. that the American government is beginning to wake up. The representative who's in Israel right now is already talking to Netanyahu about this. This is no longer an internal issue. The high-tech community tells us there is already hesitation regarding investments in Israel. We know that if Israel were to become a dictatorship with an authoritarian regime of some sort, investors will leave. Talented minds will flee. The strong will flee. Israel's economy will crash. The productive sector will be sucked dry, supporting those close to the regime who want to live off of the work of others. Democracy has far-reaching implications affecting every aspect of our lives. This isn't just about the regime itself or the judicial system itself or my personal rights. This is also about the economy and about our security. A nation that has a regime collapse and an economic collapse that becomes corrupt, where the taxpayers' money is not used to benefit the people, but instead ends up in the pockets of those close to the regime and those helping the regime, will also suffer a collapse of security and safety. This regime-type change that the government is advancing is a surefire recipe for the demolition and destruction of Israel. The end of the Zionist dream. The end of the idea of the only democracy in the Middle East. The Jewish people, the country, all of that, gone. Completely gone. Because in essence, only a liberal democracy can continue to communicate with the world, can continue to do business with the world, can allow us to live here as free people, as citizens who are not exploited and abused. Take to the streets. This is the moment to take to the streets. Much respect to all those who have already gone out and joined the protest. 2 weeks ago, there were tens of thousands at the protest. And last week, there were over 100,000, in my estimate, closer to 150,000 throughout the country who came out and participated. Go out to the streets and make sure that everyone around you comes out with you and joins the protest and is fully aware of what is happening. Share this video, share all the materials. There are quite a few legal experts out there who explain very clearly the real situation we are facing. Visit Professor Yaniv Roznei's Twitter page. Listen to Professor Suzy Navot's interviews. The list goes on. Share these materials in your WhatsApp groups, your kids' kindergarten, the HOA, Army Reserves, family, so that everyone knows there is an attempted regime-type change being carried out by the government right now without receiving any mandate to do so. This is a power grab through deception and lies. If they manage to push this through, Israel will be decimated, and our lives here will be destroyed. Only a forceful, powerful, united public with a shared goal, working in concert, has a chance to stop this from happening. Therefore, everyone must take to the streets. Explain to your people that the media is not telling us the full story. The media is telling us bits and pieces, snippets here and there, and immediately moving on to the next topic or the next entertainment show. There is nothing entertaining about a dictatorship. Tell people, Saturday night, 7 p.m., Kaplan Street, Tel Aviv, is where the main protest will be held. A massive protest that citizens from all across the country will be joining. There will be other protest locations in Haifa, Jerusalem, Beersheba, and Modi'in as well. Everyone must take to the streets. This is the only way for us to save ourselves. Spread the word.